So, if you're a parent or an educator, you've probably noticed something's a little different at the homework table these days. That scene is becoming more and more common, and it's exactly what we're going to break down today: how we can get our young learners ready for this new AI driven world. This just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? The tools have completely changed. That look of concentration isn't about figuring out long division anymore. It's about trying to communicate with a totally new kind of intelligence. And for a lot of us, this can feel like we're stepping into the great unknown. And that right there, that's the big question we're digging into. Look, this isn't about being scared of AI or trying to ban it from homework time. Nope. This is all about empowerment. It's about giving kids the skills they need to be the drivers, not just the passengers, of this incredible technology. Okay, let's start by just reframing how we look at these tools. Seriously, think of AI as the new literacy. Just like learning to read or do math opened up entire worlds for past generations, well, learning to work with AI is the key for today's kids. Getting them involved early, it builds creativity, logic, and a ton of confidence. This is so important. When kids get comfortable with AI from the get-go, they don't see it as some mysterious, scary black box. They see it as a tool, kind of like a box of Legos. They learn to use it to build things, to create, solve problems. And that mindset, that is what's going to set them apart, not just in school, but for their entire future. So what are we even talking about when we say AI? Let's break it down. Let's demystify it, because honestly, it's probably way more familiar than you think. AI is already everywhere. When Netflix suggests a movie you actually end up loving, that's AI. When you ask your smart speaker for the weather, yep, that's AI too. By grounding it in these everyday things, we start to see it's not some kind of magic. It's just technology that's built to help us out. Now this is a total game changer of a perspective. When a kid types something into a chatbot, they're not just asking a question. They are giving an instruction. They are literally programming with words. And that little shift in mindset is huge. It takes them from being a passive user to an active creator who's in control. Okay, so if our kids are now programming with words, how do we teach them to write good code? Well, it turns out there's a really simple, super memorable formula that can make a massive difference in the results they get from any AI. It's called the PTCF model. Just four simple things to remember. P is for persona. Who should the AI be? T is for task. What should it do? C is for context. What's the background info it needs? And F is for format. How should the answer look? This basically turns the art of prompting into a science anyone can learn. Let's just walk through this with an example, okay? For persona, you tell the AI its role, like act as a project manager. For task, you give it a clear job. Write an email update. The context gives it the why. The project is delayed. And finally, format gives it the structure. Write it in 3 paragraphs. Teaching kids this simple framework, it takes them from feeling frustrated to feeling like they're in charge. But a good first prompt is really just the beginning. The real magic, the real power of AI gets unlocked when you stop treating it like a search engine and start treating it more like a conversation partner. It's all about the back and forth. I mean, just look at the difference here. It's night and day, right? The prompt on the left, explain quantum computing, is probably going to give you something super dense and technical. But by refining it, by adding just a little more context like on the right, you get an answer that's actually useful. This teaches kids to refine their own thinking and to not give up on the first try. And this is where it gets really cool. Instead of just asking for answers, encourage kids to use AI as a brainstorming buddy, a thought partner. They can ask it for, say, 20 different story ideas, or get help structuring an argument for a school debate. The AI gives them the raw material, and the student learns how to sift through it all, combine ideas, and polish it into something totally new and original. All right, so with all this incredible power, of course, comes responsibility. Just like we teach kids to look both ways before crossing the street, we have to give them some clear, simple rules for navigating AI safely. I love this analogy. Think of AI as a brilliant but sometimes super clumsy assistant. It can spit out information that sounds incredibly confident but is completely wrong. They call these hallucinations. So the number one non-negotiable rule is to always verify. If the AI gives you a fact, you've got to cross-check it. Teach them to be little fact-checking detectives. Rule number 2 is about what I call the data mirror. AI models learn from enormous amounts of text from the internet, and we all know the internet has its biases. So the AI can sometimes repeat stereotypes. This isn't really a flaw in the code so much as it is a mirror reflecting the data it was trained on. So the skill we have to teach is critical thinking, to spot that bias and to question it. And rule number 3, the privacy shield. This one is a big, bright, uncrossable line. Treat any chat with a public AI like you're writing on a postcard, not in a diary. That means no personal information, no real names, addresses, phone numbers, nothing. These are just the basic rules of the road for digital safety that are going to keep them protected while they explore. And this right here is why we're talking about all this. Because when we teach prompt engineering and this idea of a conversation and safe use, we're not just teaching tech skills. We're building critical thinking, creativity, and digital citizenship. We are preparing them to be the leaders, the innovators, and the ethical architects of whatever comes next. Think about it. Every time they sit down to do that new kind of homework, they're taking a step into a future that they are going to help build. And our job is to give them the map and the compass they need to navigate it with confidence and creativity. Thanks for joining me for this one.